With Chainsaw Man Chapter 179, the story it continues to escalate, but as often is the case with Chainsaw Man, just when you think that you have the route that the story is about to take off figured out, Chainsaw Man subverts your expectations by going either a drastically different way, or as is the case with this chapter, a slightly different way. Based on how the last chapter ended off, you might have been under the assumption that the aging devil would be feeding itself to Pochita in order to fulfill its contract with the Japanese government, but that's not what happened here. Instead, we continue to build on the dynamic between Asa, Mitaka, and Yoru in this chapter, with it continuing to lay the groundwork for that fork in the road moment, which is closer than ever before, where the two will inevitably reach it. And when that happens, there's going to be a split. That is going to be one of the most painful moments in the history of Chainsaw Man. So we open this chapter up with Pochita having the aging devil standing on top of him, and we see Pochita holding up the sign of the blood in response to the aging devil. And this one moment, it might not seem like much to it, you might have overlooked it, but it really should matter to you. This is a callback to what Pochita did in Chainsaw Man Part 2 when he took control of Denji and went into that hamburger shop, because he remembered that Kid Denji was saying that one of the things he wanted to do the most before he died was eat a hamburger that wasn't rotten. Pochita is holding up a sign for blood, a subtle move by the narrative to make us think about the blood fiend from Part 1, Power. It's not much, but it's just like the hamburger was with Pochita in Part 1 trying to tear Denji up. We see him holding up a blood sign. Again, it's to loosely make you think about Power. This in context makes you go back to the things that Pochita did prior to this, where he took out the ear devil and the mouth devil, and understand what it was he was trying to do. He was appealing to Denji's humanity while also eliminating the threats around him that would cause Denji any type of pain, like the devil hunters who were after him and keeping alive Yoru and Mitaka when he could have just as easily killed them before Yoru powered up, because Denji has feelings for Mitaka. Getting rid of the ear devil, whether intentional or unintentional on his end, we know it's intentional with the Japanese government and public safety, but whether it's intentional or unintentional for Pochita, it appeals to Denji's humanity because it's the same type of goofy thing that we would expect Denji to laugh at. Hey, you have no ears. Denji would laugh at that. The same with the mouth devil. When Denji was with Power and they got past their initial differences and Denji finally stopped viewing her in a sexual manner, they had their fair share of goofy moments. It's one of the things I love about their dynamic. Everything led to him finally grabbing that blood sign in the last chapter and holding it up yet again in this chapter, a subtle and indirect reminder to make you as readers start thinking about Power. One of the people who Denji cared about, who still needs Denji to fulfill the promise that he made her. Because Denji, as we all know, when Nayuta got her head cut off, he seemingly gave up on the will to live. This is Pochita trying to stir that emotion out of him. This, of course, leads to the agent devil basically calling Pochita crazy, and as this is going on, the back and forth between Mitaka and Yoru, it is continuing. The moment she thinks she realizes that the aging devil is going to kill Pochita, she starts getting upset, and as the two of them watch, Mitaka is making concerned faces and she tries to reason with Yoru yet again, despite in the last chapter she came to the realization that Yoru was a devil and that she forgot about the side of Yoru's nature that is devil nature. She's trying to tell her that she's done enough right now. It was her blow to Chainsaw Man that left him near death's door, and that in this moment there's something she should take pride in. Yet Yoru is so obsessed with proving that she is powerful enough to take on Chainsaw Man that this goes in one ear and out the other. The big difference between a human in Mitaka and a devil in Yoru, that's it right there. Mitaka at this point is able to find solace in taking victory when they have it, while also being willing to show a firmer mercy by not getting blood on their hands to finish the job when someone else is seemingly in the process of doing it. Yet Yoru, as a devil, has made her mind up. She doesn't feel what Mitaka feels right now. She doesn't care about the pain that Pochita's in, and it goes back to the fact that devils, they don't value life the same way that humans do. Yet in a very ironic way, pride is as much of a human emotion as well. In Yoru, she feels pride. She wants glory the same way that some famous conquerors like Alexander the Great, they once wanted glory at the cost of everything around them. In Alexander's case, it wasn't enough that he was able to control large chunks of the world. He wanted to continue to go east, but he didn't know when and how to stop. It was his pride that led to his downfall, and this is Fujimoto setting up a similar thing for Yoru. Her pride, it will be her downfall, just as Mitaka's compassion and humanity will ultimately be hers. This also just further highlights the difference in situation that Mitaka and Denji found themselves in with the devils. Pochita cares for Denji and even tried to make him feel better. Yoru, at the end of the day, she puts Yoru before anything else, including Mitaka's objections, whereas Denji and Mitaka each share a common personality trait, which is their compassion, and Mitaka's reaction here to Pochita being in pain, it once again showcases that. Think back to Changeman Part 1, when Denji fought the Muscle Devil. Keep in mind, like Mitaka, Denji doesn't really have the reason to be kind to others given how crappy of a hand life has given to him. The same is true for Mitaka. We saw in the first chapter when Mitaka was introduced, she came across as bitter, but as the story progresses in part 2, we see her capacity to care for others. It's shown to us gradually. It just took longer for us to see that than we saw with Denji when he hesitated to kill the Muscle Devil in part 1. Because of the child that the Muscle Devil was using. Denji and Mitaka, they are very similar, but one is lucky to have gotten a devil with a bigger heart, and the other is cursed with having gotten a devil who does have a heart and might have some shred of compassion towards Mitaka, but she puts her own motives first. We then see this build even further in how Mitaka tries to tell Yoru, hey, if you keep this up, you're gonna kill Pochita, but basically Yoru's mind's already set. Chainsaw Man is going to be her weapon at any cost. And sadly, this is where the story throws another wrench into the story, which is a reminder that Fami might not be who we think she is, because part of why Yoru wants to make Chainsaw Man her weapon so badly isn't just because of what she tells Mitaka about how Denji can go back to being a normal human after this, but it's also because she is operating off of the words of Fami, who is nowhere to be seen in this chapter during all the chaos that unfolds. And I want to bring your attention to something similar that happened earlier in the story with Fami and Mitaka. So back when Denji was asking Mitaka, hey, why do you want to fight me so badly? She says it's to save him. And she looks to Fami for backup, for Fami to specifically explain to Denji what it is that she means. But when Denji looks over at Fami, Fami don't answer, let alone even look Denji in the eye. It's plausible deniability. She can't be accused of saying one thing or the other, because she said nothing in this moment, and that, my friends, that was intentional, as is the decision to have her nowhere on the battlefield in this moment as well. Just when Yoru attempts to deliver the final blow, Mitaka wrestles control away, and it pisses Yoru off yet again, and we see something that has been building for a while now. That divide between the two, and how as Yoru grows stronger and regains her power, Mitaka also has been regaining her humanity, and it was her humanity, when you all boil it down, that made her step in to prevent Yoru from finishing on Pochita right here, and so she took control. This leads to Yoru, interestingly, taking a page out of the Makima handbook on chapter 1, page 3, where gaslighting 101 is explained. She gaslights Mitaka in the way that Makima would gaslight Denji by playing off his emotions. She says only 7 words here, but they are very effective. She says, "You're afraid of me, Asa." And then she pauses, and then she says, "That hurts." It's just enough to wear down Mitaka's heart that she gives control back to Yoru, and the latter wastes no time because her plan, it worked. She's now back in control and starts laughing as she shoots off a blast intended to destroy Pochita, all while Mitaka is making the stunned face that she can't believe what happened, and we see Fujimoto give us yet another example of the difference between the two, humans and devils. One feels sincerely and one feels optimistically, and will play off of those human emotions to get what they want. However, unfortunately for Yoru, things don't quite go the way that she expects. the aging devil flat out stops the attack and gets annoyed at the fact that Yoru, the war devil, thought that the attack could kill her, and she flat out reduces the attack to ashes, patronizing Yoru by saying that both she and Chainsaw Man aren't on a level where they could speak to her, saying it's time for them to grow up, and in this one moment, it's a reminder to us as the audience to remember the true fear that a primal devil should instill in us as readers. Given how things went down with the falling devil, which that is a primal devil, it can be really easy to downplay the primal devils, even though when you look back at it, the falling devil did some pretty crazy mass scale shit. And while the cool factor and the fear factor wasn't the same as the darkness devil from part 1, who had Makima for the first time looking mortal and had Denji and Power dealing with PTSD for several weeks afterwards, while it wasn't anything close to that, these are the strongest devils for a reason, and the aging devil is seemingly preparing to remind us that, which makes for an excellent cliffhanger. While Chainsaw Man is going to be on break next week, I've got a video scheduled to come out to hold you guys over until the next chapter, so keep notifications turned on for that one.